I see zombies. I see zombies. I see zombies. When I die, zombies, zombies.
Are you a zombie?
Zombies, zombies.
Are you a zombie?
Zombies, zombies.
Are you a zombie?
Zombies,
When
I
you die?
Zombies in the street and zombies in the bars, zombies on the phone and zombies in the cars, zombies when you're shopping, zombies in your home, zombies on the train and zombies who are stoned. Zombies, 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 zombies. I see zombies, I see zombies. When I die.
Hello, I'm Jeremy Holtom, music producer, and as many of you will know, I've become involved with helping to fight for a man called Bob Hardy, who is based in a care home in Lockerbie in Scotland and is currently facing eviction at the age of 87 by the company who owns the care home because they claim that his dog is something they can't manage. And in reality, this is about, in my opinion, kicking out the residents so that they can sell the place for development. It's utterly cynical and it has to be stopped. There's a petition for it, which is now on the move again, has 260,000 signatures. It needs to hit £300,000 because at the moment no politician has had the courage to come out and publicly support Bob, because this is something which is Nazism and cannot happen in this country. Now there's a team of about 20 people who are now fighting this, and I'm one of those, and Arthur Shooter, who is based in London, is also getting involved and trying to shake the tree. And of course Tracy Strite, lovely person I've spoken to many times, is also putting time into this, because we all feel that this has to be stopped. We cannot allow this sort of thing, which happened in Nazi Germany and Stalin's Russia, to happen in our country. So I've decided to read out the most recent statement for the simple reason that many people find it easier to watch a video than to keep an attention span to read through a post. Perhaps partly because our education system has also fallen apart in recent years, and many people do struggle to have the attention to be able to really take in what is written. So therefore I'm going to read this statement out. 28th of March 2017. It's from Arthur Shooter. It's about Bob Harvey and his little dog. Almost 4 months ago, my attention was brought to an online petition because it was seen to be just the sort of thing that I get my teeth into. I read it, signed it, and then monitored progress. I became increasingly concerned by what I was witnessing, and due to the implications of the wider issues being exposed, I joined in as Team Bob expanded from being a former work colleague of Bob Harvey and his daughter to an array of people with varying expertise from over the world. Team Bob now consists of 18 to 19 people who are firm in their belief that this case must be fought and won, not just for Bob and Darkie, but for vulnerable care home residents in the private care sector across the whole of the UK, and I would add, for anybody who is an underdog or fighting adversity, where currently the attitude of our country is absolutely appalling. And to wake up and break us out of the apathetic state which we have been in for far too long, that has allowed these things to develop. Even so, I was based in London. Bob and Darkie are 10 miles across the border into Scotland. My outlook on this case was based entirely on information coming through from people on the ground, and this was completely at odds with the repeated position taken by the care provider involved. The defence being put forward for the apparently unspeakable actions of Mead Medical Holdings Services Limited was that they had a duty to protect the best interests of their vulnerable residents, and they were faced with a tenant who owned a dog which he could no longer take care of, which was increasingly out of control and which was becoming unpredictable and aggressive, and this situation placed the residents at risk. This is complete garbage. The dog is a Schnauzer, it's a beautiful gentle dog, and occasionally it will shit or piss. But it is not a threat, and the residents like it, and it helps to keep them alive and motivated. This is a total lie. Despite the fact that the experts reporting that Darkie was a mild-mannered dog with no temperament issues and had lived amongst the frail residents of the care home for 4 years and fully appreciated the need to avoid getting in their way as they moved around, Mead Medical rigidly adhered to their stance that Darkie was a constant trip hazard and was out of control. Garbage. Having been very vociferous in my condemnation of what was happening at Burnfoot Hall, and with increasing concerns as to the way things were heading, I took the decision to drive to Ecclefechan last week, and I spent 3 consecutive days with Bob and Darkie. Before travelling, I contacted Mead Medical via the solicitors. I suggested a meeting to discuss the situation so as to seek an amicable solution to this stalemate. There is an amicable solution staring them in the face. Bob and Darkie have become minor celebrities. Who knows, somebody might do a documentary, somebody might actually make a film about it, and that would provide a pile of money which would enable Bob to stay in the home, probably paid for by the film company. How difficult is it to do that? How inspiring would it be to the residents there, and indeed to all older people around the country, who many of whom are giving up because of the way that they are being treated? The response from their solicitors were brief and concise. There will be no meeting. Bob and Darkie must be gone no later than the 19th of April 2017. We must get this petition to 300,000 well before the 19th of April. It must be raised in Parliament. And questions must be asked as to why no major politician in this country has had the courage to stand by when so many people feel so strongly that this is the thin end of the wedge and a line must be drawn in the sand to say these things cannot happen in Great Britain. Might happen in Little Britain, but not in Great Britain. I was permitted to visit Bob, but must make no attempt to enter any common areas at the home or to have any contact with other residents. If I fail to comply, I'll be immediately removed from the premises. Good Lord, what are we doing? We're talking about the sort of thing that happened in Iraq under Saddam Hussein, aren't we? God Almighty. These threats were as empty as Burnfoot Hall because Mead Medical and senior management of the home were conspicuous by their absence. Those members of the management who were present made every attempt to keep out of my way and constantly sculled away as I moved freely and unchallenged around the premises. I came into contact with members of the care team and front house staff. They appeared to welcome my presence and knew who I was. There are many people working for this company who are as disgusted by this as we are, yet they are afraid to speak their minds. People working in organisations need to have the courage to stand against their employers if what is going on is undemocratic or appalling or possibly even illegal. And I will point out that they have in fact evicted one previous tenant and got away with it. And she died. In my opinion, bearing in mind that vulnerable people are supposed to be treated with extra care, that is legally manslaughter. Why are the police not prosecuting? So I met Bob and Darkie, his pet dog. I will be 60 years of age next month and have spent my whole life around animals of all descriptions. When I came across the out-of-control aggressive dog who would squat or cock his leg and do his business anywhere without warning, as described by Michael Best, the chief executive, I found the timid, well-behaved, well-trained and controlled miniature schnauzer, which is the real Darkie. What a lovely name, Darkie, and he is a lovely dog. As for Bob, he's a genuine and likeable chap. This whole situation has clearly told on him. Can you imagine what it is like to be threatened with being evicted at the age of 87? How can any person or organisation even contemplate such a thing? Having suffered a complete kidney failure 17 years ago, he is kept alive by 3 6-hour trips to the specialist renal unit at Carlisle Infirmary where he undergoes dialysis. For goodness sake, how can this be happening? After 55 years of marriage to Margaret, her condition deteriorated rapidly due to worsening dementia. Bob decided to sell the home and move to a care establishment who accepted him and her and the dog willingly, where Margaret's increasing care needs will be catered for. Privately run Burnfoot Hall was chosen because they had specialist care for dementia sufferers, agreed to accept Bob as a tenant, and because they had an open pet policy and were quite willing to accept Darkie, their pet dog of 6 years, as part of the package. The management at Burnfoot Hall at the time were extremely helpful and assured Bob that the three of them were welcome and that if they chose Burnfoot Hall, they would have a home for life. Legally, that is a contract. It may be verbal, but it is a contract. And the new management cannot renege on that legally. Margaret continued to deteriorate and sadly passed away 2 years ago. 2 years later, Bob was given the option to stay on as a tenant or to become a resident. He chose the tenancy. He's still grieving at 87 for his wife of 55 years. How can we allow this Nazi behaviour to continue? In 2018, Bob signed a tenancy for himself at £115 a week. There have been 3 annual increments and his fee is now £300 a week. We will not know what his fee would have been for mid-April. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop at that point because I think I've said enough. But Bob Harvey and his devoted pet dog have become minor celebrities, but their future remains very uncertain. It needs to become certain very soon. A politician, and I wrote to several last week, including the Prime Minister. Today I have written to Mr Corbyn. Today I have also written to Mr Farage, having witnessed the appalling interview with him and Alistair Campbell, who spun the country into all kinds of crazy positions when he was working for Mr Blair. I've also written to Mr Blair, and of the people that I've written to, the only one I have previously received replies from personally is Mr Blair. Whether you love him or hate him, he has always replied. Today, far too many people do not do the basic courtesy of replying. If they're in positions of public prominence, it is incumbent upon them to do so, because otherwise, as the saying goes, you will meet people on the way down that you failed to be courteous to on the way up. They need to get themselves organised to reply courteously rather than have an irrelevant minion write a bland standard letter which is not good enough, as we are the people who elect them. Thank you for watching. Please sign the petition, seek it out, spread the updates. This has got to be stopped. Thank you.
I see zombies, I see zombies, I see zombies. When I die, zombies, zombies. Are you a zombie? Zombies, zombies. Are you a zombie? Zombies, zombies. Are you a zombie? Zombies, zombies. When I die. Zombies in the street and zombies in the bars, zombies on the phone and zombies in the cars, zombies when you're shopping, zombies in your home, zombies on the train and zombies who are stoned. Zombies, 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 I see zombies, I see zombies. When I die, we may be zombies. We may be zombies. We may be zombies. When we die. Zombies who are drugs, zombies at the gym, and zombies who are dim, zombies on the radio, zombies who are stars.